Let me ask you something. When was the last time you noticed silence? Not just the absence of sound, but the kind of silence that feels wrong, heavy, empty. That silence is spreading. And it's coming from a place you may never see, but it will find its way to you. Because while you're watching this video, somewhere in Kenya, two guards stand watch over the last two northern white rhinos on Earth. Najin and Fatu, mother and daughter. The only survivors of a species that once thundered across Africa like living tanks. No males remain, their kind is gone. And if that doesn't scare you, if you think this is just a sad animal story, let me show you why it should terrify us all. The rise and fall of giants. For nearly 50 million years, rhinos roamed this planet. They outlived saber-toothed cats. They survived ice ages. They shaped the landscapes of Africa. And yet, in less than a single human lifetime, we drove them to extinction. Not because we needed to, not for survival, but for greed, for keratin, the same protein that makes your fingernails. Ground into powder, traded as medicine, or polished as a trophy for the wealthy. In the 1960s, there were more than 2,000 northern white rhinos. By 1984, barely 15 remained in the wild. And in 2018, when Sudan, the last male, was euthanized after illness, humanity held his massive head in our hands and let him go. Do you feel that? That weight in your chest? That's not just grief for a rhino, it's the echo of a warning. Why rhinos mattered? See, rhinos aren't just big animals with horns. They were ecosystem engineers. Every step they took carved paths through tall grasses, shaping savannas. Every mouthful they ate kept forests from choking out grasslands. Every pile of dung fertilized the soil and spread seeds, feeding insects and birds. When rhinos vanish, entire ecosystems weaken. Grass grows too tall, soil erodes, insects disappear. And soon the animals that depend on them, zebras, antelopes, even birds, fade away. Extinction is never alone. It always takes others with it. And here's the brutal truth. Eventually, it comes back to us. The hidden cost of poaching. We think of poaching as a problem over there. Something happening in Africa or Asia. Something distant. But poaching is a chain reaction, and humans are tied to that chain. Food security. When ecosystems collapse, crops fail. Insects that pollinate vanish. Predators that regulate pests die off. Hunger spreads. Climate change. Rhinos and elephants help grasslands and forests store carbon. Remove them, and you accelerate global warming. Water security. Rhinos dig water holes. Elephants carve river channels. Without them, droughts hit harder, water disappears. Pandemics. Destroying wildlife habitats pushes animals into closer contact with humans. That's how viruses jump. The next pandemic could emerge from the forests emptied by poaching. Economies. A living rhino can fuel ecotourism for decades. A dead rhino pays once. Communities lose livelihoods. Desperation grows. So the next time someone says, "It's just one animal," remember, that one animal is holding up part of the world you live in. The science of hope. Here's where the story twists. Even as Najin and Fatu graze under guard, scientists are working in secret labs. They've created 35 embryos using sperm collected from dead males. One day, they may implant them into southern white rhino surrogates. It sounds like science fiction, resurrecting a species. And maybe it will work. Maybe a calf will be born, carrying the DNA of a nearly lost world. But here's the uncomfortable truth. We shouldn't need to play God just to undo our own greed, because by the time we're building species in labs, we've already failed them in the wild. The lesson of Sudan. When Sudan, the last male, died, his caretakers wept beside him. Imagine that. The last heartbeat of an ancient species fading under human hands. It wasn't just the death of an animal, it was a preview of our future. Because if we let this continue, it won't just be rhinos, it will be elephants, tigers, coral reefs, pollinators, forests, and eventually, us. Extinction is not a distant tragedy. It is a mirror. And right now, it's showing us the cost of ignoring our responsibility. What we do next. Here's the choice. We can look away. Pretend it's sad but inevitable. Pretend poaching and extinction are someone else's problem. Or we can face it. We can reject myths that turn horns into medicine. We can protect habitats before they become ghost lands. We can support conservation not as charity, but as survival. Because the extinction of the white rhino is not just a story about the past. It's a story about the future we are writing right now. The silence spreading through Africa is only the beginning. If we don't change, that silence will echo across oceans, across forests, across cities, until it finally reaches us. And when it does, what will we say? That we let greed win? Or that we listened to the warning and chose to fight for life? The white rhino story isn't over. It's a warning, a test, a mirror. The question is, what will we do with it? Because one day, the silence we ignored out there will be the silence we live in here. So before that day comes, let's change the ending. Subscribe to Mindrix if you believe stories like this matter. Because if we forget them, we forget ourselves.